He drove onto the bridge like any other morning. Then the road began to move. Not shake. Move. It rose beneath his car and fell away again. He gripped the wheel and watched the horizon tilt. Something was wrong with a bridge that could not be wrong. It had stood for months, and now it was breathing. Go back a little while. To a narrow strait in the Pacific Northwest. Cold water, a stubborn wind. Rival shores that longed to be joined. For years people had crossed it by ferry. They wanted something permanent, something worthy. So they called the most trusted bridge designer alive. His name was Leon Moisaif. He was a legend among engineers. He had touched the great spans of his age, and he carried a beautiful, dangerous idea. He believed bridges could be lighter, thinner, more graceful, almost weightless against the sky. Where others built heavy and blunt, he built slender. His towers rose. His deck stretched thin as a ribbon. It was the most elegant bridge anyone had ever seen. It cost less than the old clumsy giants. The public fell in love with it. They came just to look. But something strange happened before it even opened. On calm days, the deck would lift. A gentle wave, rolling along its whole length. The men who built it felt their stomachs drop. Some grew seasick, standing still. They gave it a name, a nickname. They called her Galloping Gertie, and they laughed, because it was only a little motion. Nobody thought a bridge could be dangerous just because it moved. Nobody yet. The bridge opened to great celebration, and almost at once it became famous for the wrong reason. Drivers came from far away, just for the ride. They would wait for a windy day. Then they would roll onto the deck and feel it heave. The car ahead would vanish into a dip, then rise again. People screamed, people laughed, they came back for more. It became a carnival attraction, a thrill. But not everyone was laughing. At the local college, a quiet professor was watching. His name was Farquharson. He studied the way the bridge moved, and what he saw did not amuse him. The motion was not random, it had a rhythm. The wind was not strong, yet the bridge answered it. A soft, steady breeze could set the whole span rolling. He set up his camera and began to film. He measured, he waited, he worried. The bridge, he realized, was feeding on the wind. Each gust gave it a little push, and the deck kept the push and asked for more. He warned them. The motion was growing worse. He proposed ways to hold the deck still, cables to tie it down, changes to break the rhythm. The officials listened, then they hesitated. The bridge was new, it was celebrated, it was expensive. Close-ins, it would be an embarrassment, and after all, it had never actually hurt anyone, so the fixes were studied, and delayed, and studied again. Meanwhile, the tourists kept coming. They photographed the rolling deck and mailed the pictures home. The men who crossed it daily grew uneasy. The waves were taller now, longer, harder to ignore. Farquharson knew a bridge was not supposed to do this. He could feel the whole structure straining against itself. He believed they were running out of time. He was right. They buried this file for years. Subscribe, because there are more. Every day, the professor filmed a little more. Every day, the story on the film grew darker. The bridge was not settling down. It was rehearsing. The morning came gray and windy. Nothing about the wind seemed remarkable, but the deck was already rolling when the sun rose. A newspaper man drove out onto it. He was the last person to try. Halfway across, the motion changed. The gentle up and down became something else entirely. The road lifted on the near side and dropped on the far. The deck began to twist. It turned like a ribbon caught in a fist. His car slid sideways. He could not hold the wheel. He climbed out and fell to the pavement. The road was tilting too steeply to stand. He crawled, hand over hand, toward the shore. Behind him his dog was still in the car. He could not reach it. The deck heaved him back, so he crawled on, alone, gripping the curb. The bridge groaned. Steel screamed against steel. Bolts snapped like gunshots over the water. The professor stood on the bank, filming. He watched the deck twist further than any bridge should bend. Down at the center, the roadway rose almost vertical. Then it hung there, trembling, and for a long moment, everything went quiet. The answer had been on the professor's film all along. Here is what was killing the bridge. It was not the strength of the wind, it was the shape of the deck. Moiseev had made his roadway thin and solid, a flat closed ribbon of steel and concrete. Older bridges used open frames that let the wind pass through. His did not. It caught the wind like a sail, and a solid deck in a steady wind does something terrible. The air spills off its edges in swirling gusts. Those swirls arrive in a rhythm again and again. If that rhythm matches the bridge's own natural sway, they lock together. Engineers call it aeroelastic flutter. The wind pushes. The deck twists. The twist catches more wind. Each cycle feeds the next one. The motion does not settle. It grows. A soft, harmless breeze becomes an engine of destruction. Moiseev's beautiful theory had made the bridge light and thin, but it had never accounted for the air itself. He designed for the weight of trucks and the pull of gravity. He never imagined the wind could play the bridge like an instrument. The flaw was not a weak part. The flaw was the whole idea. The bridge was strong enough to hold a city, and it tore itself apart in a breeze. The center span fell into the water below. The investigators came quickly. They studied the wreckage. They studied the film. What they found reshaped how the world builds. Every bridge and tower afterward would be tested against the wind. Engineers built models and blew air across them for days. The lesson was carved into the profession forever. But the hardest truth was not about the wind. It was about the warnings. The bridge had told them from the very first day. It rolled during construction. It heaved on calm mornings. A professor had filmed it, measured it, and begged for action. The motion was never a secret. It was a spectacle. They sold it as a thrill ride. The flaw in the steel was real, but the real failure was human. Someone saw it coming. Someone said so, and the machine of pride and money and delay rolled on. The bridge did not fail because it was unknowable. It failed because it was known. A few years later, a new airliner fell from a clear sky, and the crack that killed it was too small to see.